this is a bit like, you know, the Oscar night for us, the moment in which we announce the winners of the awards. We have some awards that have been under embargo so far, so we couldn't tell, and others that have been already announced. I will start from the first one, the ones that comes by surprise, so to speak. And the first award is the European Award for Researcher in Environmental Economics under the age of 40. I wanted to participate, but they said no. And the winners are Moritz Drup and Guojun He. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Two words, I invite Moritz, I can't see him. Here you are. Moritz has a strong publication record with several influential publications in design evaluation of policies in areas such as climate change, natural resources, and biodiversity conservation. His influential work includes work on experts' views on discounting in American Economic Journal, Economic Policy, and his work on the limited substitutability between environmental goods and manufactured goods in, for instance, environmental resource economics. His work is highly policy relevant and covers a large number of environmental resource problems. Moritz, congratulations. If you want to say 2 words.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you can, many thanks, everyone. I have 2 minutes to say a words of thanks. So I'm honored, I'm extremely honored, I'm glad and grateful. Let me start with honored to receive this award, of course, for not only my work, but the work also of my co-authors to try to inform the transition towards more sustainable futures. I'm really glad that the award recognizes some of the work that we've been doing on limited substitutability, discounting, and also environment inequality interlinkages that have spurred some new research and also informed policy. I'm of course extremely grateful, first of all, to my supervisors and mentors, to all my co-authors, to all the editors who don't get enough credit, who are usually criticized, the reviewers, of course my team and colleagues. I would not be here, of course, without you. And I would like to thank EAERE, and not only those in the committee and Simone, but of course all who have given and continue to give this great institution life. So let me end with a small homage on EAERE. So I've first come here to Prague 12 years ago. I was more like an ecological economist, a bachelor student back then. Thought, who am I going to run into, all those neoclassicals? But I was amazed by the intellectual curiosity and openness, and being welcomed with open arms. And so EAERE as a place, both physically and metaphorically, has become institutional and intellectual home. A place where names you read as a bachelor student, you know, with too many great letters you don't understand yet, come co-authors and friends, where conferences not only mean great insights and maybe new collaborations, but also great fun on dance floors or the occasional deco pools, like in Greece. And of course, finally, where there is some shared understanding that we are not only here to write great papers, but also to try to make the world a better place. And with this, let me thank everyone and onwards. Thank you.
Please. Congrats, Guillaume. Just 2 words to celebrate your work. Also, Guillaume has a very strong publication record. His work focuses on policies and policy design, primarily in China, applied to problems such as air pollution, water quality, and plastic pollution. His work has been on the effect of environmental regulation on farm productivity in China, in the QJE, and on the impact of COVID-19 lockdowns in China on urban air pollution, published in Nature Sustainability. Very influential and very fascinating topics. Guillaume, if you want to say 2 words.
Thank you, and thank you very much. So I'm deeply honored and humbled to be the recipient of this prestigious award. I also want to thank the selection committee for recognizing my work. My research really tries to understand the costs and benefits of various regulations in China, which I think is the most important country for our future climate. Much of my work has been focusing on trying to identify cost-effective ways to address those environmental challenges, to change the behaviors of individuals, firms, and regulators. Honestly, I was quite surprised being selected as the recipient, because previously when I saw the award history, all the recipients were either from the US or from European universities. I think I'm as the kind of the first Chinese recipient of this award. I really feel honored. So I think it's not only symbolizes my kind of personal research milestone, but also kind of a growing recognition of Chinese scholars' contributions to environmental economic research and ideas. I'm very fortunate to have this opportunity to represent this community, and I hope that we would be able to work on many other issues in the future together. Finally, I just want to say a few words to thank my mentors. I graduated from UC Berkeley. I actually saw Michael Hahnemann sitting behind just now. I took a class from him when I was an undergraduate student. I also want to thank my collaborators from many institutions, also my students, my family for their support and inspirations. Last thing, I also want to congratulate to other award recipients. I think your work showcased the power of knowledge and innovation in driving changes. Hopefully in this conference, I'm going to have an opportunity to talk with you, exchanging ideas, and I look forward to future collaborations. Thank you very much.
Next in line is the European Practitioner Achievement Award in Applied Environmental Economics. And again, we have two winners, Beatrice Jordi and Pavan Sukhdev. I start with Beatrice. Beatrice is currently the Director of Climate Markets and Clean Mobility at the European Commission, a pioneer in renewable energy policies and technologies. She joined the European Commission in 1994, working on eco-innovation in green businesses, promotion of renewables, and the LIFE program in respectively DG Environment, DG Energy, EAERE, and now DG Climate Action. It's a real pleasure and honor to have you and to give you this award there. Congratulations.
Many thanks to the jury, many thanks, Simone. I'm really flattered. I thought I didn't have even 2 minutes, but I will improvise something. An honor to be here. And just to say that I think I have been a policy entrepreneur all my life, working in renewables, working in carbon markets. And just to tell you a secret, we use your work. You use many publications, whatever externalities, equity, decarbonization, economic models, to transform them into policy making. I will not say all of them, but clearly many of yours. So I have the privilege of being and still work in carbon markets. I will make just a little bit advertisement of carbon markets, that they are very good to decarbonize, and they can be also a cohesion and also a citizen equity instrument, very important these days. Just to say I'm honored, big thanks, and a pleasure to be here.
If I may add a personal word, I think we are somehow closing the science policy gap that we have been talking for a long time through you and people like you. So I'd like now to invite Pavan. Pavan is a multifaceted career that includes his position as economist at the Deutsche Bank, coordinator of the UNEP landmark report on the economics of ecosystems and biodiversity, CEO of GIST, a specialized consulting firm for the sustainability of governments and corporations, and president on the WWF International. In the preceding positions, he has been keen on the use of environmental economics, biodiversity economics, and sustainable development concepts. So we're very thankful for all your work, and we're very honored to have you here. Congratulations.
Thank you very much indeed for this immense honor. It's a great pleasure to receive it from you and from people whom I respect and I would say work for. And the background is TEEB, the Economics of Ecosystems and Biodiversity, a project that I ran for the United Nations and which was actually launched right here in the European Commission. It pulled together more than 250 co-authors of 4 separate reports which looked at, if you like, applied environmental economics. How do you apply it in policy? How do you apply it in local administration? How do you apply it in business? And underlying it all was the theoretical work of another group. So a collective of almost 500 researchers and scientists and economists and ecologists, and it was a great moment in my life, but also it made my new mission, which is how do we bring the economics of ecosystems into the private space, recognizing that 2/3 of the economy, or 3/4 if you're in the United States, is private sector, measured in terms of value addition or jobs. How do you ensure that the damage that they inflict upon society, in other words, the social cost of their operations, the inputs and outputs that create harmful effects on society, human health, and the environment, how do we ensure that that gets quantified and gets disclosed and gets brought into policy and, in fact, business policy as well, not just national and local policy. And that's been my challenge, and that's what my company does. We are working towards it. We are using valuation, largely Cartesian still, but of course, you know, as I mentioned to you, the challenge I face, the pushback, is using all kinds of innovative thinking, including some of yours. But I think this will continue. I think today we have the TEEB for Business, as it was called, became the TEEB for Business Coalition, which became the Natural Capital Coalition, a group founded in 2014. I was the founder. And today it's the Capitals Coalition, whose purpose is to use the lens of environmental economics to examine the operations of a company and its results, not just in terms of financial profits, in other words, value for shareholders, but in terms of value for society, social capital impacts, natural capital impacts, and human capital impacts. And essentially that's what we do. We present the real results of a company, redefining its performance in 4 capitals terms, and informing their investors, because today's externalities are tomorrow's risks and day after tomorrow's portfolio losses. That's a message that's finally getting through. So in that sense, I'm helping, I hope, mainstream the excellent work that all of you have been doing for so many decades. Thank you very much indeed.
Next awards are for the EAERE Fellows Program. And here we have 3 awardees. The first one is someone that may look familiar to you. And it's a great pleasure for me to give the award to Phoebe Konduri. Well,
are you going to let me speak or no?
I'm not sure. I'm supposed to present Phoebe, but you know what? I will just say that I will not present you because I'm biased and because for me, you simply wonder Phoebe.
Such a pleasure, such an honor to get the award from you, my friend, but also to be here now. The association has always been my scientific home. It has been the ecosystem since before I completed my PhD in Cambridge, where I could find the brilliant idea and the amazing people that technically were my support and were the reason that what I do flourished, I think. And this is not only relevant for me, but it's also relevant for the 200 researchers back home that make up my team. They always find in the ecosystem of EAERE the ideas and the people and the support and the excitement that they need in order to participate and produce valuable results for science. In addition to the ability to produce and continue to produce while I left the UK after 18 years and went to Greece, which is not an easy transition for many reasons that we will not discuss now. You also gave me the chance to have an administrative footprint on this amazing ecosystem. I ran a conference, but I was also member of the council, vice president of the council, president of the council, and that was also an exciting journey and opportunity. We've done together many things. The three things I'm kind of proud about are first, the smooth transition of the editorial leadership of both of our amazing journals. Then the launch of the Inclusion and Diversity Committee, which tries to provide a safety net and support for our members that are either young or coming from developing countries or are facing some special abilities or have gender exclusion issues. And there is amazing work being done within that committee that is led by Maximiliano, and I urge all of you to get acquainted with what is being done there. And the final thing is the launch with Cambridge University Press of the Environmental Economics Elements books, short books on cutting-edge issues in our field. 2 books are coming out, one by R. Dezu on environmental economics tipping points, and one by Tassos Xepapadeas and William Brock on spatial issues in environmental economics, and then a call asking all of you to submit proposals. Finally, I want to close by saying one thing that is really important for me. This transition from where we are now, the multi-crisis, to a sustainable world, the implementation of the SDGs, or whatever other transposition of the concept of sustainability into the real world, it's a very complex transition, and it's very science hectic. And we have the science. We scientists, but also EAERE, is interdisciplinary enough to produce the scientific solutions that are relevant. I think we need to work more and devote real time from our academic work to build the trust with all other stakeholders in order to be open to the solutions and the pathways we produce. The POC, the Policy Outreach Committee of the association, is doing amazing work. Simone is co-leading that. But please keep in mind, like Rashid said, it's not just the policymakers. It's the businesses, it's the financial institutions, it's the civil society. We need to spend time to build trust and ecosystems that have the capacity to acknowledge the value of our solutions and embrace them and finally implement them. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Phoebe. And next EAERE fellow is another good friend and another case in which I'm biased, Rick van der Plug. Again, it's probably useless to present Rick. He's professor at the University of Oxford, part-time professor in Amsterdam, research fellow at CPR, CESIFO, Tinenberg Institute, and so on and so forth. I could go on for a long time, but just want to stress his roles also in the policy arena. He has been chief financial spokesperson in the Dutch Parliament, State Secretary for Education, Culture and Science in the Netherlands, and vice chair of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee. He's also a fantastic person, but again, I said I'm biased. Rick, welcome on board, and congratulations.
This is very kind, so I feel a bit older than most of you, so I'll tell you my journey. I never studied economics, so some of you will say it shows. But the people who influenced me to go into economics was I was a naughty student. Had to do with drugs and magic mushrooms, so I was told to have separate reading with eminent scholars. That was in Sussex. So one turned out to be, who I didn't know he was so eminent, was Jeff Heal. So he got me to read the essays of Challing Copeman's. It's quite cruel when you're 19. And then the other guy was actually a very exciting biologist, perhaps one of the best biologists I know, and his name was John Maynard Smith. And he was the guy who developed evolutionary game theory. Again, as a 20-year-old, you're completely blissfully unaware that this is an important guy. And he talked about hawks and doves and things like that. We were walking through the parks of Sussex, the Sussex University campus. And I think these two guys, in a way, instilled an interest in research. Then later I went to Cambridge for completely random reasons. I was going to go to America, I fell in love with somebody else, and then that's how it goes. Life is kind of probabilistic. And then I was very keen on eating Chelsea buns. The British people here know what they are. And another guy was eating Chelsea buns, and it was a rather also tall, rather dour-looking chap. And there was a guy called James Mead, a later Nobel Prize winner. And we talked a lot, and I was an engineer then. And he talked about problems in the real world, many environmental issues. And he had a son-in-law. And then the son-in-law was a quite cocky guy at the time, to be honest, but a very sharp theorist, Parvati Gupta. And later on he wrote this book of The Control of Resources. And again, then the environmental things, I started writing actually on fisheries when I was a young man, a 26-year-old chap. Not as good as the people do nowadays, but still it was interesting. And then later on in life, it's always these random meetings you have, why the EAERE is so good. So I look around the room and I learned a lot from Art de Zeeuw, who's been in a sense, well, a mentor, a friend, a guy I was allowed to mock, but also we wrote one or two papers together, and also fairly early on in environmental economics. And it's those friends who then turned out to be co-authors. It's often in that order. I mean, in the room there are various people. I see Sarah sitting there. I see Armin Reza is an extremely good friend of mine. I love Ben Groom, Simon Dietz. So these people, Taco, the youngest guy, if he's in the room. So these people they are not just acquaintances, they become friends, They don't become lovers, of course, but they become friends, and they mustn't overdo it. And why are they friends? Because they dare to tell you that what you say is bullshit, and they challenge you. So I think that's why I like EAERE, because it's like a big society of friends, but also potential co-authors, people who challenge you. So I finish in one sentence. What should we do? So now, if I were start again. I'm 68, but if I were to be 21 again when I started my research, in the old days you did your PhD when you're 23, 24, now people take longer, but so then what would I do? Then I see one thing, is it interdisciplinarity, what you mentioned. So nowadays in my old age I work again with volcanic scholars, I work with ecologists and biologists. It's extremely important, you get challenged in different ways. And then the second thing, and I say that to everybody in the room, was we in Europe be behind compared with America. This is the age of big data. The amount of data we now have available on such a granular level, it's almost immoral not to use it. So we must get out of our ivory towers and use those data. I mean, there's no excuse for it. And then the third thing, and then I'll finish with that. Also having been a politician, so having been on this panel for the UNESCO World Heritage thing, we recommend all kinds of first best stuff. And it gets into the political arena and people just look at it and then they just move on. So we really have to think much more about the political economy, we have to think about behavioral aberrations, and we have to understand what it is that ticks politics, what ticks people to get things across the line, because without it, the world is going to the dogs. I thank you very much for this honor. You should not have done it, I should have said, but nevertheless, it allowed me to speak for 2 minutes to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. And our third EAERE Fellow for 2024 is Madhu Khanna. Madhu has an outstanding research record that lies at the intersection of agriculture, energy, and environment economics, with more than 150 peer-reviewed publications, widely cited. She also contributed to policy implementation as chair of the US EPA Science Advisory Board, past president of the Agriculture and Applied Economics Association, and also served in our sisters in the American organization's governance.
Thank you, Simone. I want to thank the association for this award. It's really a great honor, and it's also humbling to join the ranks of so many icons in the profession that I've admired for so long. I've been part of EARE since I was a PhD student. I attended the first EARE conference in 1995 in Umeå in Sweden, and I've really been hooked since then. At that time, EARE was really the place for environmental resource economists because the US, EARE did not really exist as a conference. And so if you wanted to meet other environmental, just a specialized conference for environmental resource economists, then EARE was the place to go. And I've attended, numerous EARE conferences since then. Soon after that, I started my tenure track position at the University of Illinois, where I've been since then, and I never realized what a marathon this career is and what I was signing up for. But I was so fortunate to have had excellent mentors, a lot of supporting colleagues, and a family that believed in me and dedicated students throughout this journey. I'm particularly grateful to my PhD advisor, David Zilberman, because he's been a long-time mentor and a friend, and he really taught me how to fish so that I could feed myself for a lifetime. And I think that's a skill that is invaluable and one that I continue to try to see, to be able to impart to students that I work with. This has really been a long personal journey for me, and not one that I could have done without family to support me. I want to thank my husband, Pradeep, who's here today, who's been by my side for 42 years, long years. He encouraged me to pursue this career path, even when it meant prioritizing this above his own career, and has really been the wind beneath my wings. And I wouldn't be standing here if it hadn't been for the support that he provided. I also want to thank two daughters who were both born while I was in the PhD program at Berkeley. And I realize it takes a village to help us stand where we are, and I'm really grateful for it. This has been a really fulfilling and rewarding career choice, and it hasn't felt like a job at all, and I'm sure many of you in this room are also in that fortunate position, or hope to be, which is to do this academic career that we enjoy so much. And it allows us the freedom to explore new ideas, to take risks, and often I feel like I'm out on a limb, and I do a lot of interdisciplinary research, and I really often do feel like I'm out there on the edge. But we do it with this intent of trying to make the world a better place, and so every day I'm enthused about the job that I do and the work that I do, and I'm surrounded by young people. I feel ageless because of that, so really couldn't be a better career choice. So thanks again to the association and to my nominators for this award. It really means a lot to me, so thank you.
Okay, so these were the surprises, let's say, and now we go to the awards that have been already announced, but still I want to celebrate the winners of the EAERE Award for Best Doctoral Dissertations, for ERC Grant Laureates, and for outstanding publications in EAERE. So for the Best Doctoral Dissertations this year, the winners are Angelica Fondulong, Lorenzo Sileci, and Guglielmo Zappalà. I know that unfortunately Lorenzo had a last-minute problem and couldn't be here. I think Angelica and Guglielmo are here, and I invite them to come to the stage. In the meantime, I just briefly read the motivations. Angelica's thesis addresses the interaction between climate policies and asset trending, a key challenge to the successful transition towards low-carbon economy. Angelica develops cutting-edge theoretical partial equilibrium and optimization models of the carbon economy. 4 of her 5 papers are already published in top field journals: Energy Economics, Review of Environmental Economics and Policy, Energy Research and Social Sciences, as well as in Nature Communications. So a great start, I would say, Angelica. Lorenzo, his PhD is on the use of and combined use of data sets and remotely sensed data sets to address key questions in environmental economics and policy, particularly on climate change, nature-based solutions to climate change. His thesis couples microeconometric analysis with simple microtheory to investigate the causal effects. 2 of his papers are already published, one in PNAS and the other one in EAERE in the special issue on COVID-19. And finally, Guglielmo, all 4 chapters in his dissertation are centered around the core issues of climate impacts and adaptation. How do people form beliefs and adapt to climate change? How should we evaluate the economic impacts of climate change when there are cross-country spillovers? He has, can I say? Yes, I can say. It's revised and resubmitted in the Journal of Development Economics, and one is published already in Environmental Resource Economics, all this in 3 years. So please come to pick up your well-deserved award. So the next awardees are the awards for the ERC Grant Laureates in the field of environmental resource economics. And here we have, for the starting grants, Lassi Halvik and Francesco Lamperti, and as consolidator grant, Alessandro Tavoni. again, a few words on their work, and I invite them to come to the stage. Lassie work is entitled Greta, Green Tax Reform for a Just Climate Transition, and I think the title itself would deserve an award. So, and it addresses the complex challenge of crafting climate policies that are both effective and equitable. This project stands out for its innovative approach to analyzing the social impacts of climate policy, utilizing comprehensive Finnish administrative data on individuals and businesses. The project moves beyond theory to quantify real-world effects of climate policies. The empirical analysis is uniquely enabled by the recent energy price shocks from the 2022 energy crisis, and this is growing realization that the cost of climate policy risk placing the heaviest burden on society's most vulnerable households. So Lassie, many congrats. The next one is Francesco Lamperti. I lost here it is. Francesco from the Sant'Anna School of Advanced Studies has a project entitled FIND, Finance and Innovation to Couple Negative Emissions and Sustainable Development, which explores the impact of carbon removal strategies within the context of sustainable development. The project emerged from the critical recognition that to adhere to the 1.5 degrees target, negative emissions technologies are essential and addresses pivotal questions of critical policy relevance regarding development, diffusion, and deployment of negative emission technologies. Francesco, are you around? He was here yesterday because I talked to him, I'm sure, but I will give him the award later. And then Alessandro, for the Consolidated Grants from the University of Bologna, has a project on green tipping from niche to norms, drivers and diffusion of green social tipping. And the project seeks to advance our understanding of how sustainable behaviors can emerge and spread within societies. More specifically, the research team explores social tipping interventions, namely actions that promote positive changes that can reach a threshold behavior which new sustainable behaviors spread autonomously across an entire society. The project underlines the critical need for behavioral shifts at both the individual and community levels, emphasizing that technological and economic solutions alone are insufficient for a successful ecological transition. Alessandro, it's an honor. Okay, next awards are those for outstanding publication in environmental and resource economics. And here we have a Best Paper Award that is published by Antonio Bento and his co-authors Noah Miller. Here I have problems with. Great, thank you. I didn't know how to pronounce. And Edson Severnini. I think that Antonio and Edson are probably in the room, so I invite them to come here. In the meantime, I read the motivation. The author presents a well-articulated theoretical framework that demonstrates the mechanism of incidental adaptation, which underpins their empirical analysis. Using their theoretical framework, they show how regulatory actions aimed at addressing other non-climate market failures can also incidentally drive adaptation to climate change and improve welfare. which occurs in situations when climate change exacerbates regulated non-climate market failures. They present a rigorous empirical analysis in which they quantify the unintended yet beneficial role of the ozone stranded of the US Clean Air Act in driving adaptation. I will not read the whole motivation for time constraints, but the implications of incidental adaptation go beyond ozone regulation. The paper hints at other applications such as forest wildfire mitigation and water conservation in agriculture, where similar non-climate regulations could induce climate adaptation. This research opens new avenues for research and policy considerations. Many congratulations to Antonio and to all the co-authors, and it's an honor to give you this award. And so, oh yes, I would like to also mention the highly commended publications in environmental resource economics for this year, because I have to say, being part in, at least in the past years, of the committee, it's always a hard choice. And so it's important also to recognize 3 other papers that are highly commended. One by Godwin Kwabala, Ekpe, and Anna Kliss, Spillover Effects in Irrigated Agriculture from the Groundwater Commons. One by Jakob Enlund, David Anderson, and Frederick Carson, Individual Carbon Footprint Reduction, Evidence from Pro-Environmental Users of a Carbon Calculator. And finally by Panagiotis Koromiyas, Angeliki Matioudaki, Sotirios Dimos, and Dimitris Fotakis, on modeling intertemporal trading of emission permits under market power. Many congrats to all of you. Is it okay? And congrats to me for reading the names. And finally, a big thank to the members of the EAERE Awards 2024 nominating committees: Elettra Agliardi, Friedrich Carson, Maria Antonietta Cugna, Enrica Dechan, Phoebe Conduri, Osa Löfgren, Alistair Munro, Linda Nussbacken, Hélène Olivier, Aude Pomeret, Karl Steininger, Thomas Turner, Randall Walsh, and the whole Policy Outreach Committee. Thank you for your time and your effort. And also